Now, what really confuses me is when people don't use logic when looking at a band's discography, or they can't appreciate all the work that a band has put into a single record. For example, when people are disappointed when a band can't make every album a thrilling experience where every song is as pleasing as Somebody I Used to Know or Sex on Fire, they might be too quick to judge and throw away an album that has a lot to offer. With that being said, this brings us to Snow Patrol's most recent album, Fallen Empires. Now, on iTunes, where obviously the most educated and head-straight reviewers share insight, they've been quite harsh on this album, saying how simple or stupid the sound is. Now, use your logic, people. Snow Patrol has never really had a complex sound. For all you, Snow Patrol has been a fallen empire since Final Straw. The instrumentation from Final Straw is nothing extraordinary compared to this, just different. If you're sad because Fallen Empire doesn't have as deep lyrical content in the past, look at it this way. I mean, it just followed up their last record, 100 Million Suns. If you've never paid attention to the lyrical content in that album, check it out. It's incredible. Now, Gary Lightbody, the lead singer of Snow Patrol, his task of writing lyrics for an album after 100 Million Suns is like making a sequel to an incredible movie. It's a given fact. It's just not going to be as good as the original. Sorry, got a little defensive and off topic at those who can't look at the big picture, but looking at the album now, yes, Snow Patrol took a slightly new direction with this. You'll hear more heavy, simple dance bass drum lines, but also some quick alternative punk lines comparable to Arcade Fire. One thing stays the same though, Lightbody's carrying lofty vocals and slightly overdriven guitar in the background. This album took a long time to grow on me. I mean, coming out of 100 Million Suns, personally my favorite Snow Patrol album, it was difficult listening to something that it wasn't something I was expecting for, or even hoping for. I have no doubt though after purchasing this album, you'll find your niche in it and find some enjoyment in it. If you've ever listened to bands like The Fashion or Silverchair's Young Modern album, or the Silver Sun pickup song Rusted Wheel, Fallen Empires is comparable to those, just toned down with more ambient vocals and acoustic guitar. In conclusion, yes, Fallen Empires is a step down from Snow Patrol's other albums, but it's not an album worth flipping feces over. One thing stays true in their albums. Their beautiful work, three things. Their beautiful work with the acoustic guitar, deep piano chords, and Lightbody's bloody awesome voice. I guess a good way of putting it is it's still that classic Snow Patrol sound from Eyes Open and 100 Million Suns, just with a slightly new hairdo on it, and that hairdo being heavier bass drum and less overdriven guitar, and that's about it. So, tying this back to the introduction, aside from the song Weight of Love, there's not a single song on Fallen Empires that jumps out at me as quickly as a bathroom break after Taco Bell. But even lacking this, critics take note, this album is still respectful and classic, easy-to-listen Snow Patrol. I'd give it a 3.5 post-punk progressions out of 5 post-punk progressions.